Hey there, this is Crypto for the Rest of Us. I do this 6 days a week, sometimes more often. Tip, tool, coin analysis. Here's what I want to talk about today. I'm going to try to put a couple things together. If you follow my channel, I am very diversified into many different markets. Layer 1, AI, DeFi, that sort of thing. And then within those are what I would consider to be sub-markets. So for example, in AI, you'll have customer-facing agents, which I believe is very different than the physical infrastructure of the NVIDIA cards that are going to provide some of the compute power. Infrastructure versus customer-facing applications. All right, so in the DeFi space, you've got things such as just staking, and then you have borrowing and lending. I think RWA could be seen in DeFi. Borrowing and lending is what I want to talk about. And also, I like to think about, as I diversify, not just in markets or industries and sub-industries, but also around market cap. So I feel a little better about some of these larger market cap because they probably have less volatility. They do. And you're more likely for them to maybe not move quite as fast and be as volatile when, for example, we look to sell, because they're going to have a lot more volume. They're going to have a lot more capital in that particular crypto. So when things start to, say, move down, they might not move down quite as fast as a much smaller market cap, because it doesn't take big amount of money to move a smaller market cap one way or the other. So you also have to think, well, some of these larger ones, if you're asking something like a Solana, which is 112 billion at the moment market cap, to 10x, you're asking it to get to $1 trillion. If you're asking everything on here to 10x, I'm not even sure that's going to be possible. So you look at it and you say, well, maybe I'm getting 2 to 8x on some of these larger market cap ones. I might want to start dabbling in the smaller ones, but there's trade-offs. They can be more volatile. Obviously, they can be harder to pick. The whole market is a triangle. You've got your high market cap ones up here, and as you go down in market cap, the breadth gets wider and wider as to all the different ones. How do you choose from those? Well, I say to myself, I'm going to stay within the same arenas. So if I'm in DeFi, I'm looking at borrowing and lending. So in DeFi, you've got your layer ones. I have many of those. Well, now let's look at what's in the DeFi space. You look at something like a DeFi Llama. Here are most of the layer 1, or in some case layer 2s, like a base built on top of Ethereum. How much do they have locked? And then you look at where that is, and they show you here. For example, let's just take the first one we're going to look at, which will be Arbitrum. We look at the total locked, 3 billion. We say, where is it? And they show all the different protocols here. And it tells you what category they're in. Yield, lending, derivatives, DEXs, whatever it may be. And you can see what amount is locked in these various areas. The reason I want to look at borrowing and lending is because one of my favorite layer ones, even though I have many, because I see them all as not quite as competing as most people think, is Hedera. And Hedera has been going up substantially. And they have one called Bonzo, which was just created recently. I think it was in the last month or so. And they're a borrowing and lending platform on Hedera. I believe at the moment they're the only one. They had to get over 5 million capital supplied before they could even allow someone to borrow off of that protocol. I think it's a regulatory thing. They shot past 5 million. They went up to 10 million. I believe they're at 16 million total value locked. They don't have borrowing and lending available yet, but they should be done in December. At least that's what they're shooting. So you say to yourself, well, they went up to 5 in a month, and 10 and 16. So they're doing great. Are they? Are they doing great? I don't really know. Now you can't get their token yet. And I have a video down below you'll see about how you can supply things like your Hedera, your HBAR, Sauce, and some others. And by supplying, you earn points on a daily basis. And those points will be available to turn into Bonzo tokens in the future in one way or another. I'm not sure if they've actually said how they will do the conversion. Regardless. So we're not talking about it being undervalued because it doesn't yet have its own token and therefore doesn't yet have its own market cap. Fair enough. But are they undercapitalized? In other words, when they do have that token, if not too many people are paying attention, it might be a really good buy when it first comes out. So what do I mean by being undercapitalized? Well, I thought, how can we determine that? Let's look at a couple popular layer ones. How much do they have locked? How much of what's locked is in borrowing and lending, because that's what Bonzo is. And let's compare that to their market cap, with the idea that if you've got a layer one with a certain amount of money in it, of course, the market cap doesn't represent how much money is in it. It's the number of coins that are currently liquid times the current price. Many of those could have been bought at a cheaper price. It's just valuing it based on, the last trade, so to speak, and what its current price is. But regardless, that's the best metric we have. So we're going to go with market cap and say, if a percentage of that market cap flows down, what does that look like? It flows down into things like borrowing and lending. Personally, I love borrowing and lending in DeFi. I think it's going to be way bigger than people are even considering. I've already done videos on debanking. I've used Aave for a while. I have Ethereum there. I overcapitalize. I take out loans. I don't own interest. I don't have to pay interest payments. I don't have to pay principal payments. I can use the stable coins for things. And then I can watch my Ethereum continue to go up. And you can do borrowing and lending on many platforms with many different crypto. I think a lot of people are going to want to do that. I think it makes perfect sense. Hold on to your assets, take stable coins because inflation crushes them, and use them, and then pay it back when you can with the appreciation of the asset. That's the theory. So far it's working, and it will continue to work, I believe. Okay, so there you have it. Let's start seeing, and I'm just going to look at 4, and I'm just going to go through them pretty quickly, and let's see if we can figure out if Bonzo is doing well or not. Is it going to be a substantial value when the coin comes out? Like I may have mentioned, let's first look at Arbitrum. If you haven't done this before, it's DeFi Llama, LLAMA.com. Up here, you click any one of these chains. I clicked Arbitrum. Arbitrum says 3 billion locked. And if we scroll down, we look at the lending categories. Now, here's what I did. I already took a look at this. Aave has 12 chains. Now we can go over to Aave and you can, so you may not, and it's 1 billion on Aave, but it's 12 different chains. So how much of that is on Arbitrum? You can't tell from this. So you go over to Aave. I already chose the Arbitrum. You can choose the different network. I chose it here and it shows it's 1.7 billion. We're not going to use that when we do a calculation. Why? Well, one, it's 12 chains, but more important, even though we can see how much is on Arbitrum, Aave's been around for a long time. So in my opinion, I often go straight to Aave. And I think a lot of people may go straight to Aave because it's been around for so long and it's pretty well known. In other words, I want to look at the coins where you think they just got involved with the layer one. They like it. They start looking at different projects and things built on it. And then they start looking at DeFi and then they move into something like borrowing and lending. So let's look at the flow where you're going direct from the layer one down as you're learning about it, as opposed to going straight to Aave. You get the idea. The next lending is Compound. Okay, that's been around for a while as well. 6 chains. So what I did here is I shot down and I said, here's one that I'm not that familiar with. Dolomite. If you don't know that reference, you're not as old as I am. 4 chains. I happen to go ahead and look at Dolomite. 74 million. Okay, but there's 4 different chains. When I looked it up, it appears that 64 million of that is on Arbitrum. Okay. So now we know that of one of these lending, which is pretty much just Arbitrum, it's 64 million. What is the market cap of Arbitrum? It's down here. So we have a 4 billion market cap and we have 64 million on that particular borrowing and lending platform. Great. Let's go to another one. The next one I went to is Sui, because Sui is also fairly new. 1.5 billion locked. If we look down here, I went to this lending platform, Scallop, 1 chain, which is Sui. Perfect. 168 million total value locked. When you go into Scallop, you can see it's 168 million. You know it's all on Sui. This is 2024. It is very new. A little bit of 23 and 24. And so we go back and we take a look at what Sui's market cap is, and we're at 10 billion. 10 billion market cap, 168 million total value locked in a borrowing and lending platform. Great. 2 more. Cardano. We go down here to Cardano. Cardano's been around for a while. I like it because when we go down and we look at the different chains, let's see. For lending, I've got a couple here. Lending, they have 161 million with one chain. That's what we want. The next lending is 72 million with one chain. And the next lending is 25 million with one chain. We're going to add all those up because those are borrowing and lending specifically only on Cardano for 259 million. If we go and look at Cardano's total market cap, it has been crushing it recently, which is great because I've been holding this bag since last time, 38 billion. Okay. So they're at 38 billion and 259 total value locked. Now, the one we want to look at, Hedera. Hedera, and actually if you look it up, it's not on this list here. You can use the drop down or you can just use the search bar. But Hedera is 133 million. Like I said, you come down here, we only have one for lending. That's Bonzo, one chain, currently 16 million locked. Bonzo 16 million locked. We go over here to Hedera. Hedera has been pumping recently. It's been moving up, and I believe it's going to continue to take off. 24th at 7.7. Let's call that 7 billion and 16 million locked. All right, so let's look at some quick math here. Arbitrum. I'm going to put this on the screen here. We're at 4 billion and 64 million. So 64 million is 1.6% of the 4 billion market cap. Let's look at SUI, 168 million locked, 10 billion market cap. That's 1.68 of the market cap. ADA, 259 million locked, Cardano, 38 billion market cap. It's 0.68% because it has a huge market cap. Hedera, 16 million locked in the Bonzo, 7 billion market cap, 0.22%. I understand this isn't the ideal way to try to figure out if Bonzo is indeed undervalued by looking at whether or not it's undercapitalized, because we don't know the value yet. We haven't seen the tokens. But is it undercapitalized? I want to know that because I want to know where I think it should be right now in terms of TVL. So there we have them. This tells us that Arbitrum at 1.6% and SUI at 1.68, basically the same. I find that interesting. That's about 7.6% of Hedera's Bonzo compared to the Hedera chain, 0.22%. So we've got 7.6 for Arbitrum, 7.6 for SUI, and ADA's 0.68, which is 3 times the Hedera. So if we look at this and we say right now, based on those other 3 chains and how much of their market cap is in borrowing and lending specifically, you've got Arbitrum. Using that as a marker would put Bonzo at 122 million. It's the same multiple for SUI, 122 million. Look at ADA, which has been around, 48 million. I think SUI is one of the better markers to look at because it's so new at 122 million and ADA, Cardano at 48 million. So personally, even though Bonzo's at 16 million, I think it's vastly undercapitalized. If it were to capture the same percentage of market cap as Arbitrum, SUI, and ADA, it would be somewhere between 48 million and 122 million. So you're looking at what? 1632, what's that? 3x almost. And then almost like somewhere between 3 and 8x. So it should be somewhere between 48 and 122 million, in my opinion. So that means that I would expect this thing, being Bonzo Finance, the thing, in borrowing and lending, to continue to take off at a really fast pace. And if it hits somewhere between 48 million locked and 122 million locked, I wouldn't say they're crushing it. I would say they're where they should be. It has a lot more ahead of it. I'm very bullish on Bonzo. I happen to use Hashpack to then purchase some of the projects that are on the Hedera chain. Take a look at that. I'm very excited to see when the Bonzo token will be released. because then we'll know whether or not it's undervalued or not. And I have a feeling it's going to come out undervalued. That's why, like I said, there's a video below showing how you can supply some of your Hedera or Saucer Swap, whatever it may be, and you can receive and earn points to then eventually turn it into Bonzo. For me, I've diversified, like I said. I've dug down into DeFi. I went down into borrowing and lending, and I believe this is going to come out Bonzo token with a much smaller market cap than it should have. And I think it's going to be a huge opportunity. That's my opinion. And I'm doing that because I want to see if I can invest in a lot of these smaller market caps, but in a smart way. Well, I came up with it, so I'm not sure how smart it is. Oh yeah, big dumb animal. Don't do what I do. Informational purposes only. Have a great day. Let's make generational wealth together with crypto. Thanks for watching. And also thanks for subscribing, commenting, and telling me what I did right and I did wrong and giving me more information. Helps us all out. Have a great day.